Hi, I'm Mark from Property Ventures. Welcome to this week's New Zealand Property Podcast, where we interview the property expert around New Zealand. Hi, welcome back to the latest New Zealand Property Podcast and video series. And today it's going to double as an intro on our new builds page as well. And I've got sitting next to me a latest addition to Property Ventures Real Estate, Kieran Jones, and welcome to the team and welcome to today, Kieran.
Morning, Mark. Thanks for having us along. Morning, all.
All good. Now, Kieran's come on board at almost a request of you people out there. We have lacked a little bit in providing information for new investors and experienced investors on new builds. So we've got Kieran here as a new build property consultant, and we'll talk about a little bit more soon, what that involves. But first of all, what's sort of your experience in the last couple of years been, Kieran?
I've been managing a successful property investment company, and it's been focused on finding property for investors that are looking to get into the market for the first time, not necessarily the experienced investor that you used to dealing with, Mark, but there are plenty of people out there that find themselves in their mid to late 40s looking at retirement with 30-year mortgages. The market's moved in many places in New Zealand. As we know, it goes up and down and round and round. But a lot of people now have equity in their home, and they're asset rich and cash poor. And with the LVRs for new build investment and the opportunities within that new build residential investment, there's some really great opportunities for people to get into the investment market without having to borrow cash.
Absolutely, and that's there's such a range of investors we have here right now, but there's something we want to open up to the current investors and the new sort of people that might come to Property Ventures for the first time that Kieran sort of been speaking about. And a part of today's video is just to show you the benefits, I guess, of why you might think about a new build when you've maybe in the past only dealt with second-hand residential, or whatever the case may be.
The flipping market, I think they call it in the US now, don't they?
The flipping market, yeah. It's been a lot of Kiwis, a lot of these people, my regular watchers here, do flip properties, but there's also a lot that hold property long-term. Interesting enough, I had a meeting, a property group the other day across the road, and a few of them have actually moved to commercial because they're actually sick of the ongoing maintenance of a 50 to 100-year-old building. Sometimes that's unavoidable, and that's still a good investment, but they're now talking about commercial or new builds, and they like the fact we're talking new builds now. For that reason, there's no maintenance for a hell of a long time if you work with a good developer. Yeah.
Well, as you were saying to me earlier, but when I first started with Property Ventures, that there was just the side of the market that Property Ventures wasn't actively pursuing. And yes, there's a lot of advantages to a new build, and over a period of podcasts, I think we'll go through those one-on-one. Like to ask you out there in the listening world, the podcast world, if you have any questions, please contact us with those questions, and we'll look to answer those on a weekly basis.
Yeah, no, that's great. So yes, Kieran alluded, we are going to put a series together, probably about 10 videos of going through different parts of new build, and different things to look out for that you may not have thought of. But we will just today just speak briefly on some of the main advantages that people may not be aware of with new builds, and I'll sort of ask you the first one. As I said, you've already alluded to the LVR rules, and go back 3 years ago, you used to buy a residential property, you only needed 20% of your own money or equity in a property to buy any property. That went to 40%. You needed 40% to buy a property, and at the moment it's 35%. So, for example, if you buy a $1 million property, you need $350,000 deposit to buy that property. So what's the story with new builds? It's not 35%.
No, new builds is great. It's 20%. Not only is it only 20%, often deposits can be 5 or 10%, which can get you a hold on a property that's not going to be built for 12 to 18 months. So you're also getting that capital gain. one thing we will get to over this series of podcasts is talking about how you can utilise the equity in your property to do that. I was a general manager of a finance company. I didn't understand the opportunities available to people with equity in their home, and how, you look at it and say, well, I've got to come up with a 20% deposit, and then, in a year and a half's time, how do I come up with the other 80%? Well, with the way that you can structure the finance of a new build home, you don't have to be concerned about that, as long as you've got the equity in your home. We'll love to explore that a lot further, Mark.
Absolutely. A lot of people, they instantly think, geez, I haven't got 200,000 or 100,000. And as Kieran's saying, you don't necessarily need it. If you own a home with a good equity in it, and you can use that when you go to a good finance lender, and use that to buy your new build, and you only need to do 20%. So a $1 million property, only $200,000. But most of our properties we're looking at, and we've got access now to a lot of new builds around the country. What sort of the main price ranges of those properties?
Well, it's an interesting one, Mike. I was doing a number of phone calls yesterday talking to people that had an interest in new build, and they were saying, well, can you send me what those builds are and what you have and all the rest of it? Well, we've got properties from Queenstown through to Northland, from 300,000 through to over $1 million. But the key with the new build investment is understanding what it is you are looking for. What are your goals? What are the requirements? So by sending out a bunch of different properties for people to look at really isn't solving the issue. And the one thing we're looking to do here at Property Ventures is actually spend some time with you to walk through what are your goals, what are your needs, what are you looking to achieve out of this, what is the timeline? Because of course it's the buy and hold strategy. It's not a buy today, flip tomorrow. We're talking somewhere in that next 7 to 12 years to meet your financial goals. 7 to 12 years as compared to a 30-year mortgage. I ask you, which would you rather have?
Absolutely. No, that's very important. As I said, is you don't just go, what have you got? As I said, so you can either sit down and with Kieran or myself or one of the other staff members and actually sit down and go, actually, this is what I'm trying to achieve. And like I write in my monthly blogs and the Property Investor magazine, etc., is find out at first of all what you're trying to achieve. From that, then you can decide what you're going to buy and whether you want to buy $1 million place in Queenstown or a $400,000 place in Hamilton or 500 in Christchurch or whatever the case may be. And I'm sure we'll sit down and we will give you a couple of options once we know what you're trying to achieve. Or I won't just be buy this, so it's up to you what you want to buy, and we'll give you appropriate properties to look at rather than just throw you everything, which is far too much.
Well, and as they say on TV, but wait, there's more. The process of going through and developing a strategy with you, looking at what your financial requirements are, what you're trying to achieve, costs you nothing. That's something that Property Ventures will do. Sit down, spend that time to understand what are your goals and what are your requirements. Also, if and when you purchase an investment property from Property Ventures, there is no cost associated with that. So please, if you're interested, you want to know more, you want to have a meeting with myself for an hour or so, or one of our staff, one of our sales staff around the country, please give us a call. Go through it. There isn't a cost to you for this. You may learn something. You may want to go and do it yourself. But at the end of the day, it will help you clarify what your goals are. And that's the target market for our residential new build investment.
Yeah. Just a couple more points I sort of want to move on from there. We sort of touched on, I guess. The first one is maintenance. I was talking, when you start out in property investing, many people don't, or they aren't aware of how much to put aside for maintenance. And some spreadsheets say put 1,000 aside or 2,000 aside or 500 aside, or don't put anything aside. I was talking to a group of pretty experienced investors the other day, and they said put 5,000 aside. And I've always been away is actually look at the property. If it's 40 years old, if it needs a roof in the next 5 or 10 years, start allocating a 10-year plan and a 5-year plan on what you need to do. And that usually does go from anywhere to $2,000 to up to $10,000, depending on the price of your your or the age of your property. The great thing with new builds is, provided it's been built by a good and experienced developer, which I like to think that's all we deal with, is of course how much maintenance you expected on a new property, Kieran.
Well, that's right, Mark. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what part of what Property Ventures does for you. We do that due diligence on the developer and on the project. There's a number of different things that you want to get from your new build. One, it needs to be in a place where you're going to get tenants today, and then it needs to be in good enough shape to attract that second tier market when you want to sell it, to release the equity that's within your new build investment. So yes, you should always allocate something in the financials, and when we sit down and run through what those costs are, I think we look to put in something maybe $300 a year to cover over the first 10 years. A dab of paint here and other bits and pieces. You're not going to get into a new build and find that the electrics are gone or the plumbing has rotted out in the bathroom, and the previous owner had put in some repair boards, which now needs the whole floor being fixed. So yes, the minimal cost, that's one of the major advantages of a new build.
Definitely. So Kieran, one of the things you alluded to triggered my memory there. So why should people here not just go out themselves and look for new builds? Because they can. There's plenty out there, and there's plenty of developers and builders and what have you. Why should they come to someone like Property Ventures?
Well, you can go knock on the door of any developer you like and see if you can get a deal off them. But generally, they've got listing agreements in place with different sales companies around the country, or they've got their own sales team doing it. One of the advantages of dealing with Property Ventures, looking for a new build residential investment, is we often will get those properties cheaper than what you can get them on the marketplace. People often call up and say, "Oh, look, I've looked on the web and I found this one. It's $5,000 cheaper than what you're selling it to me for." Very rare. However, you got to compare apples and apples. A lot of those properties are bare land with build. Ours tend to be 99% turnkey. So the landscape letterbox, you've got your clothesline, they've got curtains and blinds, move in ready for tenants. So as compared to a house which has got all that to be done.
And even furnished at times if that's appropriate for that type of property.
Yes, and a number of developers, they will bring out a property and there'll be a month or two till they get their first how many sales, where it's $20,000 to $30,000 cheaper. Classic example at the moment is land prices in Canterbury. 4 months ago we could get land down in the Rolleston area, which is now $20,000 per section more than what it was. So because of our buying power, buying power is probably the wrong word, because we do not own anything. We have access to property. But because of the fact of the number of clients and that we deal with, developers are prepared to give us that access at as I said, often a cheaper rate and for a turnkey property.
Yeah, a great example of that. So we're right now in Christchurch. We're just getting access to, will be advertised the end of this week or the start of next week at the latest. And probably in the best area of Christchurch we've ever had a new build or apartment to be built in. And there's not a whole lot of them. There's only about 15 of them, I think it is. And it's about to be released the same day with a one of the larger real estate companies in Canterbury, and ourselves the same day. They're selling them for market value, as in what the registered valuation has. And because they need so many X amount of pre-sales, they're giving to us to actually do that at a discounted rate with the turnkey type things like Kieran just talked about, with the curtains and maybe the furniture and what have you.
And a beautiful spot looking over Hagley Park. Yeah. And what's rare these days, they come with car parks. So, once again, by coming through Property Ventures, you'll get access to that pre-release to the market. They 5% down, or even only 10% down. I'm not sure on that one, but one of them we've got at the moment down in Christchurch is only a 5% deposit to hold until the build is finished, and about 12, 15 months.
We got done one down South Auckland, and also way down South Auckland. The same thing. I think it's 1,000. Oh no, Manukau, sorry, 1,000 deposit, 1,000 to hold the property for a while.
Yep,
and that's pretty good when it could be making you $50,000 over the next 12 months, especially because it's the cheapest apartment that we've seen around that area for the last few years. So for 1,000, that's pretty good. When titles are issued, then you pay your rest of your 10%, and then 6 months after that you settle the property. So these are the bits and pieces, as Kieran just said, especially like car parks is such a big issue around Auckland and Canterbury and Christchurch in particular. Both the ones we just alluded to have car parks where the neighbouring properties don't have car parks. So that's another reason. Come and see Kieran and myself, any of the team at Property Ventures, and we'll sit down with you and go, this is why we think this or that, along with what are you trying to achieve yourself?
Because everyone is different. What I could sell to Mark to meet his needs and goals and requirements is totally different what I might be looking to purchase. So it's the same thing. So why seminars are often difficult. You can give the information to a range of people, but you can't get specific. So once again, if you're looking to find out about new build property investments, give us a call. Doesn't matter whether you're in Auckland or outside. I can send you some materials. We can talk about it on the phone. And run through it and actually clarify your goals. By me sending out 15 to 20 different properties around the country is not going to solve that issue.
Yep, all I'll say is, believe me, we have a massive range of properties we get access to right now. So let us do the hard work running around for you. Let us tell things that you didn't think of or we've been offered for our investors. Just another example. This is not a sales video, but for example, in Jack's Point at the moment, we've got a place brand new. I've been it myself. It's over $1 million, so it's out of the reach for a lot of people watching this video, but it's in reach for a lot of people. And you might go, well, why would I pay just over $1 million? Because it's probably get $600 a week rent. The owners want to rent it back for a year at $950 a week, and no one's going to be. Most of that year, no one's going to be living in the property. Would you believe? It's for professionals going down there for 2 days or a week to stay in, and these sort of opportunities are presented to us all the time. So as Kieran says, come and see us. You can plenty of ways to do that. 0800 NZ Property. You can go to any of our agents. You can go to our website. You can ask us any questions online. So that's the way to come to us.
Yep, and I'm sure you're thinking, well, how can they do this for nothing? There must be a cost. Well, yes, we charge the developer. So we don't own the property, unlike many other investment companies. We don't own it and then go out and try and sell it to you. We have access to properties, and if we sell one of those properties to help the developer, then we get paid directly by the developer. No cost to you.
Yeah, so it's a standard fee. We're not trying to get most money, or chucking a 50, 60, 80 grand on, or 30 grand on like some of these other companies do. We're just selling it with our standard fees with the developers, and then we get paid by them. So, and they know we've got a large database, so we are very fortunate position to offer far more than probably most of you actually watching this actually realise that we can do. So, hey, start taking advantage of that. We're going to start telling a few people that we have got something special sitting right here. And I just like to finish off with that, saying I'm very excited to have Kieran on board, as the rest of the team are. He's educating the rest of the team and ourselves, and hopefully many of you guys watching this very soon. And looking forward to the next week coming up, helping a lot of you people out who are watching this video right now. So
appreciate that, Mark, and remember, it's a business decision. Do your homework, give us a call. We'll do that homework with you, walk you through the process. We've got a booklet designed to elicit the information that you need to understand when we're going forward with an investment property, because it should work alongside your lifestyle, not impede it. And remember, it's a business decision, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Give us a call.
Absolutely. What a great call that last one was. No, that's fantastic. And no, that's good. We'll let you know on Facebook and our newsletter and what have you when we start this short series. It will start in the next couple of weeks, so be ready for that, and you'll learn even more. But in the meantime, thanks for listening. Thanks again, Kieran, and we'll see you next time. See you later.
See you later.